Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to Be Your Own Hero. Uh, it's a great time of year, and for those of you who don't know, I'm a stage 4 prostate bone and lung cancer patient, doing real well, and I'm excited about what's coming up in a few days. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I am so honored and humbled to have Amanda Ferraro as my guest, who's got a great story. And so I think all of you are going to be really excited to hear her story. So, Amanda, please introduce yourself and we'll talk about what's going on this time of year.
Okay, sounds great. My name is Amanda Ferraro. I'm a two-time acute myeloid leukemia survivor and stem cell transplant recipient. Prior to my cancer diagnosis, I have had 7 brain surgeries for a cyst on my cerebellum, and I live today with a VA shunt because of that. Um, I am a mother. I'm a patient advocate. I'm a cancer survivor. I have a TEDx speech. I love being part of the cancer community because it's just so amazing. And I really love sharing my story with others in hopes that it can help inspire someone.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It's so great to have you.
Thank you
So
for having me. I'm so excited.
it's this is going to be fun. So we're a few days away from Christmas. So my first question to you is, what are you going to do for Christmas, and what does Christmas mean to you?
Well, Christmas has always been a huge part of my family getting together. We have Christmas Eve at my dad's family's house, and we do Christmas Day at my mom's. But it's been a little different since my son was born. He has a birthday of December 24th, which is Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Yeah, and he is actually, we believe he's a reincarnation of my fiance's brother who passed away when my fiance was 4, but his birthday was December 24th also. So my son
Wow.
shares a birthday with his late uncle. So we go to the gravesite, we say a prayer, we lay a blanket down. We spend some time with my son's uncle, and then we go out. Usually we'll eat like lunch at a restaurant or go to the diner, and then we give him presents with my family, and then we end up going to my dad's side of the family's house. So we try to make it separate but kind of together for Christmas Eve. And then Christmas Day, we have matching pajamas, we have shirts that we make that they're all matching. We go to my mom's house. We have a big Christmas breakfast. We open presents. It's so much fun. We kind of just lounge and spend the day together as a family. And it's just wonderful. I love the spirit of Christmas.
Awesome. Awesome. And we want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Stay safe, be happy, enjoy it with family and friends, because that's what it's all about, you know. And
Absolutely.
let's, I mean, what's most important is the true meaning of Christmas. And that's the birth of our Lord, which, that's the most important thing. And it's not about the commercialization, the presents, and everything like that. Uh, it's all about family and friends and being with the people we love and enjoying the people we love. And that's what it's all about. And, we're fortunate enough to be going on Christmas Eve, and we've been spending Christmas Eve with some close family friends, the Crammers, and this may be the last time because they bought a place up in Idaho, and they've been moving a lot of their house up there. So we've been gathering for, I don't know, close to 30 years, and so this is our family. Even though they're very close friends, we consider them family. So we're excited about seeing them in person live for the first time on Christmas Eve since before COVID. So it's going to be great, and we're looking forward to it. So
That
let's
sounds really fun.
yes, absolutely. So let's dive into the conversation and hear your incredible story. You told us a little bit about, what you've gone through briefly. So let's talk about you've had 7 brain surgeries and cancer as well. You want to go ahead and start
Yeah.
the conversation with that?
So I have a TEDx speech which I use to share my story, and in that you can hear like what I have gone through. Because I've heard often it's kind of incredible that I've been able to overcome so much. So when I was first born, I had swallowed my mom's amniotic fluid and I was in the NICU for a while, and I had double pneumonia. So from the very minute I was born, there was a medical issue. I had scarlet fever when I was a few months old. And then when I was 6 years old, I had brain surgery. I had a cyst on my cerebellum. Nobody knew what was wrong with me. Loud noises would hurt my head. Um, I was having headaches and trouble focusing in kindergarten, and they took me to Children's Hospital Philadelphia. And the next day, I had brain surgery because they saw the cyst that was huge on my cerebellum. So they put a stent in, and that lasted 10 years. In 2006, I was a senior in high school. I had another brain surgery, and they had tied the cyst into the fourth ventricle of my brain. Unfortunately, that did not last very long, and I had another brain surgery in 2007. They kind of basically did the same thing, tried to retie it, open a hole. And unfortunately, 6 months later, I was having headaches again. So we went to another hospital, and then in 2008, I ended up having 2 brain surgeries. One in November to put a shunt in to drain fluid because they found I had hydrocephalus, which is excessive cerebral spinal fluid around my brain. So my brain was swelling all the time, which was causing the headaches. November, they put it in. It was draining so much that I couldn't even sit up without being in pain. I had to lay down. And then December, I had another brain surgery to put like a timer on it so that it could drain and release the fluid amount that my brain would allow it to. I was good for a while. And then 2011, I was having problems again, super bad headaches. We went to a world renowned surgeon to try and figure out what was going on. Well, the shunt was not working. So he took everything out and wanted to redo it, this time going from my head through my jugular and down into my heart. So that was very scary for me
Wow.
because, having surgery on your jugular is not really something you want to do. But we did it, and the surgery, went well. Unfortunately, they did find I had staph infection in my shunt, and they did not know where it came from, how long it was in there. But the doctor said if staph infection would have went into my brain, like I could have died, and nobody would have known because they would have had to take the brain out and test it, and it could have been fatal.
Wow.
So I had to stay actually in a nursing home for 2 weeks with around the clock antibiotics to kill anything that was left in my body from the surgery. Yeah. So after that surgery, I was good. In 2013, I ended up getting pregnant. And when you're pregnant, your heart beats faster to the blood flows to the baby and you. But when that would happen, the shunt would scrape the right atrium of my heart, the top of my heart. So I ended up having to have brain surgery at 16 weeks pregnant,
Oh my
to
goodness.
shorten the shunt so it wouldn't scrape the right atrium of my heart when it was beating. Yeah, so 16 weeks pregnant, I had a brain surgery, and then I came out. I did great. It was hard doing no pain medication for that. So having brain surgery with no pain medication was difficult. But I got through it, and my son arrived on time. December 24th was his due date. He was born on his due date, 8 pounds, 15 ounces. He did wonderful. And I did great. And, so far today, everything is great. I have like yearly maintenance checkups just to make sure everything is good. But knock on wood, I'm doing great. So I was, being a mom, full-time mom. I was home with my son. Everything was amazing. And then in March of 2017, I was not feeling well. I was lethargic. I was pale. I had trouble doing everything. Um, my family was like, well, maybe, it's your weight, or you're doing a lot because you have your son. And I ended up going to the ER, and they said, oh, it was mononucleosis. Go home, eat some red meat, you'll be fine. And I was like, okay, so, maybe it is in my head, maybe it's nothing. I was getting so bad. It was I couldn't even breathe. It was really bad. So May 17th of 2017, I went to the emergency room at my local hospital. It's right down the street from my house. I told them what was going on. I'm like, something's wrong. Like, I know my body, something's wrong. He did some blood work, came back. My hemoglobin was a 5.2, and he said, you have no blood in your body. You might have died tonight if you didn't come in. And then
Amber, Amanda, let me pause you right there because I want to interject something. To the audience out there, everybody thinks that what they're going through is so bad or the worst. And, they think that, some people think that everything is so awful. And listening to Amanda's story about everything she's gone through, think about it. I mean, your story, Amanda, is amazing, absolutely amazing. And, I commend you for your wonderful, wonderful, positive attitude. It's awesome. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I told Amanda before we started uh, this interview, hey, we're going to have fun because, and I'm learning so much more than when we talked before. I am stunned. So I commend you, absolutely admire you, and I'm so humbled and honored to have you. So thank you. So sorry for interrupting. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. So I was told I was told in the emergency room I needed a consultation with an oncologist. Now, my sister had brain cancer in 1997. So I knew kind of what oncology was. My aunt had Ewing sarcoma, which was 18. My grandfather had esophageal cancer and lung cancer. My mom works for an oncology office, so I kind of knew what oncology was. And from that moment, I was like, oh, I was right, but I didn't really want to be right. So they put me in a room. The next day, an oncologist comes in, and he's like, hey, you have leukemia. Here's some pamphlets. We're going to start chemo. And I was like, oh my God. I was crying so bad. And it was a shared room. He told me in a shared room with other people there. And I was hysterical by myself. The mother of the person who was next to me came over, and she was like, do you want a hug? Like, it was the worst experience of my life. And I talk so much about bedside manner because that experience was horrible for me. And to this day, it's like a nightmare. Like, when I think of it, it's just like I get PTSD and anxiety, and it's just, yeah, it's very hard. So after that, I wanted a second opinion, and they would not let me leave because the cancer was so deadly. They wanted to start chemo right away. But I wanted to get a second opinion, and I wanted to know what kind of cancer it was, and I wanted more answers. So we went to another hospital, and from there they did a bunch more testing, and they were like, this is bad. This isn't good. We can't help you. You need to go to a specialized hospital. So from the second hospital, they transferred me to another hospital, and that is where I did all of my care. To Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in New Brunswick, and they
Amanda.
Yes.
So was this when you almost died when they transferred you to the second hospital or the third hospital? Is this the time?
So yeah, so the first hospital, the doctor did not want to release me because my blast cells were so high, and My white cells were up, and I was round the clock transfusions because my body, the leukemia was eating the red blood cells because that's what it does. So the doctor was afraid that I would die on transfer from one hospital to the next, and he did not want to let me go. He was like, "No, you're not going. I could, lose my medical license." So the oncologist at the second hospital actually had to sign a waiver for me to leave, saying if anything happens to her in transport, she's in my care. It's my problem. And that was the only way they allowed me to leave because it was so bad. And then from the second hospital, they were giving me more transfusions, more, I think it was platelets were giving me. And then within 24 hours, they had sent me to another hospital. They did everything stat, wanted to know what my hemoglobin was and the red blood cell counts and what the blast cells were and what the leukocytes were and like everything. And of course, I was like neutropenic and like it was bad. So then they had sent me to this specialty hospital that specializes in leukemia. So as soon as I got there, my whole family was there. My son, my dad, my mom, my sister, my stepdad, everyone was there. And they're like, this is bad. This is what she has. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is what I want her to have. And tomorrow she's starting. And it was like, okay, so let's go, strap in. This is what we're doing. And the next day I started chemotherapy. Now, I wasn't prepared for the fourth day of chemotherapy being as horrible as it was because I woke up in excruciating pain. They ended up giving me like 4 milligrams of morphine, and I was screaming still. It was so bad. Turns out that my appendix was about to rupture and I needed an emergency appendectomy, which they have never performed on a cancer patient going through chemo.
Wow.
I had to sign a paper saying that I might die, and they've never done this before. And they gave me platelets before, doubled the platelets before, so that they could really, make sure I wouldn't bleed out. During the surgery, I was getting platelets, and then after the surgery, I was getting platelets. And the surgeon comes to me after and said, "You must have a guardian angel because you did not bleed at all."
Wow.
So I like to think it's my aunt who passed away as my guardian angel. But yeah, they said you're a miracle, and I was like, yeah, I know that. And so on the fourth day of going through chemotherapy, I needed to have an emergency appendectomy. On top of losing my hair, being sick, having diarrhea, the whole 9 yards that go with chemo. So that was interesting.
So let me pause you there, Amanda. My question is, you've had so many different life-altering health events. It's just mind-blowing to me. So when something like this happens, what goes through your mind? What is going through your mind?
Well, honestly, okay, let's do what we have to do to get it over and done with. Like it's just another bump in the road. And my mom, when I was first diagnosed with cancer, it was horrible. Like my son, and I couldn't see him, and it was just bad. But my mom was like, you've been through so much. Maybe God put you here for a reason. Maybe you have a bigger purpose than you even know. People can say they've been through 7 brain surgeries and survived all of them, and they're still here and they're still talking and they're still doing what they have to do. Never mind adding cancer to that list and surgeries that you don't need and all that stuff. And I was like, that's kind of what pushed me, like me, I'm here for a reason. What's my reason? So I kind of just was positive during everything I was going through. And from the moment I was transferred to the hospital, actually in the ER, I have pictures in the emergency room of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society pamphlets they gave me, getting the blood. I have documented from the very beginning all the way through because I was like, you know what? I'm going to show people what cancer patients really go through, how hard it really is. I'm going to bring light to this. And that's what I did. And that's what I've been doing.
I love that. Absolutely love that, Amanda. That
Thank you.
is so great. And I'm so thankful and happy that you're here sharing your story. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So I mean, I am truly, truly humbled. I mean, I'm learning things that are is just blowing me away. I
Thank
didn't
you.
hear about the appendectomy or some of the other things. So thank you for sharing that. That is, you are a true miracle that
Thank
you're
you.
here. And
Well,
and
that's only half of it. I'm not done yet.
okay, let's get into it.
So I ended up doing induction chemo, and then I did 4 consolidation therapies. So I was in the hospital for like 33 days the first,
Can
when
I
I was
pause you
diagnosed.
right there? What
Yeah.
is consolidation therapy?
So induction chemo is when they like blast your body with a bunch of chemotherapy. Leukemia is different. All cancers are different. Some people go in for chemo, they come home, they go back to the doctor. When you think of like breast cancer, it's in your breast. Prostate cancer is in your prostate. Colon cancer, it's specific. When you have leukemia, it's in your blood. It's your whole entire body. Where does your blood flow? Your brain, your spine, your legs, your arms. So you have cancer in your whole entire body. And when they do treatment for leukemia patients, blood cancer patients, they keep us in the hospital to monitor you. I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong, and usually the chemo that you get is harsh on your body. It does take a toll on you. And to make sure that everything is okay, they usually keep you in the hospital, to make sure your counts come back up and everything does what it's supposed to do. So that's induction. Consolidation therapy is just kind of like monitoring your cancer, making sure it doesn't come back. So I would be like 7 days in the hospital, and then I would leave and get chemo for all 7 days. And then I would come home, and then every other day I would go to the hospital to get blood work or platelets or whatever I
Wow.
needed. And then it went to every 3 days, and then it went to every 5 days. And once it was once a week, I would do another consolidation therapy. So another 7 days in the hospital, come home every other day, then every 3 days, then every 5 days, then once a week, then back in for another one, and I did that 4 times. So that's what the consolidation was. And then February 14th of 2018, they're like, okay, this is your last one. You get to go home. You're cancer free. I got to ring the bell. Like it was awesome. That summer was great. I was home with my son. I was there 24/7. There was like rarely any doctor appointments, like once a month. It was great, and I felt great. And then I started blogging, and I was active in the cancer community, and I started my Twitter, and I made my website, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to help people. Like I want to get the word out. I got re-diagnosed with cancer. I relapsed. So I was on a boat with my mom, my son, and my stepdad. We were out having fun. And all of a sudden, my lip started to swell up. It was huge. And I was in excruciating pain. My tooth hurt really bad. I went to the emergency room again. We rushed in. I came home. I dropped my son off to his father. And then I went to the emergency room, and I had one blast cell in my blood. And the hospital wouldn't touch me. They said, we're calling your oncologist and he can decide what you want us to do. Give me antibiotics. They sent me home. The oncologist is like, okay, one blast cell is not bad. It could be something. Let's figure it out. I went to an oral surgeon, had my tooth fixed, went and had a bone marrow biopsy by my oncologist. September 11th, 2018 was a really bad day. My oncologist called and said, you relapsed and you need to come back in. Now, at this point, we found out through genetic testing that I have TP53 genetic mutation. Now, my mom has it, my grandmother has it, and they think my aunt who had cancer may have had it, but she had passed away, so we couldn't test her. Which generational, all of these cancers together gives the doctors knowledge that it's called Li-Fraumeni syndrome, which is a genetic mutation that causes cancer. So if you have this genetic mutation, it's easier for you and your family members to get breast cancer, leukemias, sarcomas, tumor causing cancers. So the oncologist, when I relapsed, said, you need a stem cell transplant. You're going to die. They gave me a 10 to 20% chance to live, and said the only way possibly to save my life would be to have a stem cell transplant. So I did another induction chemo, which was another 30 something days, 35 days in the hospital. I spent time in there again.
Wow.
Yeah, it was it was just hard. Again, like my son just started school, 4 or 5 days into school. I was like relapsed with cancer. He was in kinder, like it was just so difficult. And a lot of the times when people are diagnosed with cancer, it's like, okay, you have cancer, this is what we're doing. But what about the life I had before I came to the hospital or before I was diagnosed? Like that doesn't stop. So it is just the most difficult thing to be diagnosed with cancer with a child of any age. But my son was 4 at this time, and it was just so hard.
Let me step in here and ask you something, because as I'm hearing your story, I'm even much more impressed than when we talked before. I marvel at it. So what does life mean to you at this point after going through all of this?
Life is a miracle. Every single day, every heartbeat, at any second, it can be over. So I try hard not to take things for granted and not to get upset about things that are not in my control, and really just try to open other people's eyes, because you never know what could happen. But while I'm here, I am going to shout from the rooftops that every single day is a blessing and you should treat it as such.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I didn't know you were going to say that, but I knew you were going to say that. So sorry to interrupt your story.
Oh, it's okay.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah,
I had to ask that at that point because and you answered exactly the way I expected. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I started induction chemo, and then we searched through Beat the Match and DKMS. We had swab parties. They searched the registry. They found 4 candidates, 2 of which they had called to do, testing and stuff to make sure the HLA factors lined up. A lot of people think it's like, oh, what's your blood type? Maybe I can be a donor, but it's a lot more than that. They found a donor, actually, at 22. He was 22 at the time, a 22-year-old man from Germany. That's all I knew. So I ended up getting the stem cells. So I came home October 22nd from the hospital for my induction chemo. And then I went into the hospital November 21st, 2018, which is the day before Thanksgiving. I spent Thanksgiving in the hospital, preparing for chemotherapy and getting ready to do stem cell transplant. And then November 28th of 2018, I received my stem cell transplant, which is a little bag, the blood looking stuff. And it just goes into your IV.
Blood looking stuff.
I do have a picture. I do have a picture of what it looks like. But that one bag of stem cells completely changed my life, and it saved me. Yeah, it saved my life, and I am forever thankful to my stem cell donor. And so I went on with my life. I was in the hospital until December 19th. And I was like, this is what I've been through. And so many other people go through this or can't find stem cell donors or like don't know that this is a thing. So I really, from that point, decided like, this is what you're going to do. This is your purpose. You've not only had 7 brain surgeries, like one while you were pregnant, you've had cancer twice, leukemia at that. You have a rare genetic mutation and a stem cell transplant. Like, this is your purpose. This is why you're here. Go with it. So I started writing blogs. I, sent them to different places. I've written for Cure magazine and the Philadelphia Inquirer and Cancer Today magazine. And I just love getting not only my story out, but sharing other things that cancer patients go through. So after stem cell transplant, I have chronic graft versus host disease, which is something that comes with stem cell transplants, where some days I'm in excruciating pain and some days I'm good, and I have it in my stomach and my joints, and my bones, but I'm here and I'm alive. So yes, I have good days, but I also have bad days. But those bad days, I'm like, okay, I feel the pain. I'm not 6 feet under. Like, yes, I'm in pain, but I can feel it. I'm alive. I'm here to feel that pain. So that kind of gets me through basically the bad days. And then my website kind of like took off, and Twitter kind of took off, and people use my hashtag and tag me in cancer things. And I have a abstract in a medical journal called Cancer Awareness, the Reality into Cancer. And then I did my TED Talk. I was asked, to do it. I submitted a video, and they, said my story was absolutely amazing. And then was able to record that, which, was a huge bucket list thing for me, because I always wanted to have a TED Talk. I used to watch them when I was in the hospital. That's what I would do. I would watch TED Talks. And what was really inspiring to me, people have gone through so much, and then they're so positive at the end of the day, because they look at things differently. Some people are glass half full, some people are glass half empty. And you go through life not knowing what God's going to hand you, but if you are positive and you try to look past that hump in the road to see the horizon on the other side, you might be able to get through it a little bit different, and it won't hurt you as bad. So I really try to be positive and look at things glass half full, and cruise those speed bumps through the road. And I'm here today to talk about it.
I am just blown away. I mean, thank you so much for sharing. When you're going through all this stuff, what does what kind of role does your son play in that mindset?
I say my son saved my life. I'm pretty sure any parent would say the same thing. When you're diagnosed with cancer, the first thing you think of is death. Cancer equals death. It doesn't have to, and a lot of the time it doesn't. Our science is extraordinary now, but that stigma around cancer is death. I looked at my son, and I'm just like, I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to see you play sports. I'm going to see you graduate. I'm going to be at your wedding. I'm going to be there. And it really just pushed me to like, I have had days in the hospital where I thought it was my last. One of the oncologists that came in during my stem cell transplant told my dad they thought I was going to die because of how depressed and I wouldn't eat and like how bad it was. My son got me through those times. Yeah, like I don't feel good. I'm having diarrhea. I lost 25 pounds. I'm in excruciating pain. I had an allergic reaction to the chemo. I'm told I had a rare genetic mutation, like everything that you could think of. But in the back of my mind and through pictures on the wall and my phone, my son was there with a smile on his face, always, "Hey, mommy, how are you doing, mommy?" And the thought of not being there for him just drove me crazy. And that's what pushed me through was my being there for my son.
That's exact. I knew you were going to say that, even though I hadn't heard it before, because that was my exact sentiment about my daughters. Because they mean everything to me, and I have had to be there, especially for them. You know, even though they're adults now, they don't need care or anything like that. Um, that was crucially important to me as well, and it was a big driving force in my cancer battle. So, thank you for sharing that. Um, Amanda, you know, what I want to do, and it's up to you. Would you like to come back for part two?
Oh, absolutely. I would absolutely love to.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I mean, we could literally talk for hours, but I don't think people would watch it for hours. We would, I know. But what I want to do is circle back to uh, why don't we wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and give us
Yeah.
your Christmas thoughts to leave everybody, and then we're going to bring you back in the new year to hear more of your story, because it's awesome. You are awesome. So thank
Thank
you so much. So let's hear your Christmas thoughts, what you want to leave everybody with, and then what I'll do is I'll go over a couple of quotes that I want to share with everybody. So go ahead.
My Christmas thought, especially with everything going on in the world, be kind. Be kind to one another. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or your gender or your financial status or where you are in life. Be kind to one another. Let the Spirit of God run through your veins when you're paying for Christmas presents or donating to a charity or telling someone that you love them. Just make sure that that kindness is being spread all over when it's coming from you, because giving people love is the best present that you could receive. And I always try to let my son know that and share that with everyone around me, that your kindness is contagious and, pay it forward is real. And if you're kind to someone, I mean, even a smile can make someone's day. So be kind this holiday season. Make sure you love one another the way God loves you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I have two quotes that I want to read, and it's goes right with you, and it's basically a commemoration to you and your journey. And the first one, and these are taken from Roy T. Bennett, The Light in the Heart. And the first one is, life is about accepting challenges along the way, choosing to keep moving forward, and savoring the journey.
Oh,
And
wow.
the second one is, and this relates to what you just spoke about, acts of kindness. A random act of kindness, no matter how small, can make a tremendous impact on someone's life, which you have done for me. So thank you so much, Amanda. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. And I hope to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas, and spend it with the people that you love, because that's what this season is all about. So thank you so much, Amanda. It's been an absolutely incredible experience, and I will savor this forever. So, and
Thank
we're going to bring you back in the new year. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I can't wait. So, thanks everyone for joining us here at To Be Your Own Hero. Merry Christmas, and we will see you in the new year. Thank you so much.